It's Pentecost, and it's good season to read the book of Acts. It begins with the coming of the Spirit in incredibly powerful ways. And then after that, you see the Spirit at work, sometimes in big, dramatic ways, and other times in quiet ways, and sometimes even in unexpected places. It reminds me of something that happened a very long time ago, back when we lived in LA. LA is a very big place, but nestled throughout the city are the little towns that make up the big city. Ours was Eagle Rock. We had our favorite places in Eagle Rock. Most of them were places to eat, and one of them was Cindy's. Cindy's was, and still is, a diner. In fact, sometimes there's a diner in a commercial or even a TV show or movie, and it's Cindy's. No joke. It's such a stereotypical diner that it's used as such on the big screen. It may have been the way that they could keep their great low prices and even once in a while get a new set of blinds or a pie cabinet. Back then, in the morning, you could find Helen and Lori cheerfully waiting on tables. James was there too. He owned the place. He mostly sat and talked with the customers, every once in a while going out to the parking lot to admire someone's new pickup or motorcycle. James rode a Harley. We went there almost every Friday, our day off, for breakfast after we got the kids dropped off at school. My whole family went to Cindy's, and so often I would find out about what was going on with my sister or my mom from Helen or Lori. There were the regulars, people who ate there every day, some twice a day. In fact, there was a group of guys that wanted to meet at 5 in the morning. The restaurant wasn't open until 6:30, so James just gave them a key. They would start the coffee in the morning and would leave about the time that the restaurant would officially open. They liked to pull pranks, so the trick was to find out what they had done. One day, the specials sign said, Helen. Helen and Lori would always treat me like I was family, but they would give my husband a hard time. I guess that's like family too. Lori especially would smile and take my order. Then she would just glare at my husband, and when he ordered his usual biscuits and gravy, she would answer with humph and just walk away. One day, we drove into the parking lot after being on vacation for a couple of weeks. Before we got out of the car, we could see through the big windows that Helen and Lori had scrambled to the door. Helen turned the sign around to say closed, while Lori opened the door and yelled, and we're out of biscuits and gravy to boot. One of the regulars was a guy who used a handheld electronic device to his throat to speak. We could always hear what he was saying because it seemed that with the monotone mechanical voice, there was only one volume. It wasn't annoying, though. It was just part of being at Cindy's. It was fun to hear the banter between the customers and the staff. One day, another of the regulars came in. Mickey looked a bit frazzled. He picked up the restroom key that was attached to the big long stick that customers would need in order to use the restrooms out the front door and around the side of the building. He said, I forgot my keys to the house. Lori said to him that those were not his keys, but the restroom keys. Mickey continued to insist that they were his house keys, not in an angry way, more in a frantic way. His friends among the other regulars were all around him, mostly at the counter. After a while, they were able to get him to understand that these were not his house keys. Meanwhile, Helen came to our table to refill my coffee. She explained to us that Mickey had recently had a stroke, and since then, he would occasionally be confused. As things settled down, we heard Mickey say to the small group of guys around him, I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on. And then, as if confessing to something he had been trying to deny, I guess there's something wrong with me. The next thing we heard was that familiar electronic monotone. Don't worry about it, Mickey. Don't you know? There's something wrong with all of us. All we really needed at that point was a closing hymn and a benediction, because we'd been to church at Cindy's.
you.